Okay, so we're going to have a look at another question from the topic of electromagnetism. We're asked, explain how a particle circling in a magnetic field is similar to an orbiting satellite or a mass being spun on a string. Describe the forces in each case. Okay, so how they're similar? They are all cases of roughly uniform circular motion. Uniform circular motion. And so in uniform circular motion, you need a centripetal force pulling towards the center of the spiral. So we know that force centripetal is mass times tangential velocity squared over the radius. All of these objects have this. In the case of a particle in a field, we might draw some kind of field that looks like this. We might have this particle rotating in this direction. So this is the particle. If we have a satellite orbiting a star, so we might have a star. Stars don't have points, but we'll just use this to demonstrate. This satellite may orbit around like this, or we might have a mass being spun on a string. We have some mass connected to a string to a point. It's being spun around like so. They all have to have a centripetal force. So this object has a centripetal force pointing towards the center, force centripetal. This object has to have a centripetal force pointing towards the center. This mass has to have a centripetal force pointing towards the center. This is how they're common. Now we have to describe the forces in each case. Well, they all have centripetal forces. In the case of the magnetic field, mag field, we assume that the centripetal force is provided by the field. So this implies that the centripetal force is equal to the charge times the velocity times the value of the field. So this is a description of the force in the case of the magnetic field. In the case of the planet or satellite orbiting, the case of the satellite orbit, this force is essentially provided by gravity. Right? This is a case where gravity pulls the two objects towards each other while one is moving and it creates a uniform motion. And then in the case of the mass on the string, or mass connected to the string, I should say, in this case, the centripetal force is provided by the tension. It's provided by the tension in the string, pulling the object towards the center and constantly rotating. So when we're asked to explain how they're all similar, they're all instances of approximately uniform circular motion. In the case of the particle in the field provides the centripetal force. In the case of the satellite orbiting the planet, the masses and gravitation associated with masses provide the centripetal force. And in the case of the mass on the string, the tension in the string provides the centripetal force.